Welcome to John Redmann, Power of Attorney. I'm Attorney John Redmann. We're so glad to have you join the show. This program aims to empower you through better understanding of the law.
And I'm Shauna Sanford. Each week we cover a different area of the law, and today the focus is on class action lawsuits. Now, it's a common phrase, and in our area alone there have been thousands of residents who have been part of class action lawsuits, and they continue to make headlines, from the BP oil spill to the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. But what are they, and when should you consider joining a class action lawsuit? We're going to take a closer look at the issue today.
Our guest is Val Exnicious, a New Orleans attorney who's handled some very prominent class action lawsuits nationwide. He's going to help us go over the need-to-knows of class action lawsuits, and as always, we will take your questions for Attorney Exnicious. There are several ways to get in touch with us during the program. You can tweet us at John Redmann POA, go to our Facebook at facebook.com/John Redmann POA, or email us at questions@johnredmannpoa.com. But first, Shauna has a look at some of the top stories making news.
That's right. Well, if you have a Discover credit card or an American Express, be on the lookout, because both companies have announced that they will be refunding hundreds of millions of dollars to their customers for what's being described as unfair practices in marketing, billing, and debt collection. This is really big news. John, sort of give us the rundown of what happened here.
Well, the basic short story is these credit card companies have a history. I'm not saying specifically this company, but it's a common story, and we've seen it in the news in years past, where fees are added, charges are charged, the telemarketers kind of sort of gloss over that you are being offered these credit protection programs, these services that ultimately, when the investigation takes place, the credit card holders say, I never asked for that, I never approved these charges.
Right.
And ultimately the credit protection agencies, and sometimes via class actions, it's revealed that it was improper, illegal, and fortunately in some cases they're held to account and pay the money back. So
they're paying out this huge fine, or at least the settlement that's been offered up, but they've not admitted any wrongdoing. Is this pretty typical in these situations?
Often it is, because they could go to trial and maybe be proven to be doing illegal acts or shown to be engaged in unlawful activities and forced to pay a lot more, or they can agree to pay a settlement, and by paying the settlement, they basically say, I'll pay you this money, but I'm not going to agree to do any wrong. And people say, okay, we'll take the settlement, but you won't have to agree.
Okay.
You won't have to agree that you're doing wrong.
Okay. Our next story, the United States Supreme Court is back in session this week, and the justices will take up several high-profile issues during this term, including human rights, civil rights, and gay marriage. But the first blockbuster will deal with affirmative action, and this involves the University of Texas.
Indeed. The biggest change here is the change from the affirmative action case from previously, is the change in the makeup of the court. And Elena Kagan, who is what you would expect to be in favor of upholding affirmative action, she's recused. She cannot be a deciding vote on the court. There will be 8 justices deciding. Could be a deadlock. If that happens, then the decision from the lower court stays the same. It'll be interesting to see what happens. We'll be watching the case very closely.
That's right, because of course what happens there could affect universities and colleges all around the country.
A lot of people are going to be very, very on the edge of their seats waiting to see what happens.
And finally, every year on October 1st, St. Louis Cathedral holds the Red Mass. Now, this is the 60th year for the event, in which the entire legal community comes together for blessings and guidance. But, John, this time around there's a bit of a controversy there. There was an alternate celebration. Yeah,
as Justice Burnett Johnson was quoted in the paper, it was a celebration of the Chisholm decision, which is the case she's relying on to get her to the Chief Justice position. We'll be talking about that in our next section.
Okay, very, very interesting. Well, coming up next, Attorney Val Exnicious joins us to discuss class action lawsuits. So stick around. We'll be right back.